Hello. Today I'm going to cut back my autumn fruiting raspberries in preparation for next year. I'm Liz Zorab and this is Byther Farm. There are two types of raspberries, summer fruiting and autumn fruiting, and it's not just the season that they're called that is the difference. Summer fruiting raspberries produce their berries on the canes that grew last year. So at the end of each year you want to get rid of the ones that are fruited, and you can tell those because they'll be brown, and you want to keep the green ones. And autumn fruiting raspberries produce their fruit on this year's growth. So what you want to do is cut them back in the autumn and winter, right down to ground, and that will encourage them to send up lots of new shoots, and those are the ones that will produce fruit. So I have tried leaving some of them to see whether they will fruit more or earlier. So the plants that I cut right down to the ground are really good, strong, healthy growth. I'm just seeing the beginning of flowers and fruits. Actually, I think that one's actually flowered, so that's the beginning of fruits on that one. So they're looking pretty good actually. Let's go and have a look at the ones that I left. And of course, it's not that I actually left them. I cut them down to about knee height. As you can see, I'm 5'7". These are pretty much the same height as me. They're growing really well. They're looking healthy. Lots and lots of flower buds on them, but also there is an awful lot of fruit coming. In fact, there's fruit to harvest. And they taste really nice too. And they do indeed fruit a bit earlier if you leave them for them to carry on growing from tall canes the next year, but you don't really get any more fruit. And I've decided that I quite like the separation of having strawberries early in the year and raspberries later in the year, so I'm going to get all of these cut down to the ground with a hope for a bumper crop next year. Now, in previous years I have waited until all the foliage has died back and cut them much later in the year. This year I'm doing it now because previous years they've carried on producing fruit well into the middle of November, and this year the heavy rain and the very cold winds have made all the berries go black, killed off the flowers, and they're just not producing any more fruit. It's quite noisy here today because the farmer's working in the field next to us, so he's got machinery going on, so sorry about all the background noise, it can't be helped. So the only advantage, I guess, to doing this is that it's going to add more green to the compost to help break down the more woody material. But as I said, normally I would wait until all of this has died back. But you can see here that there are new buds forming along this already, so it's healthy, it's lively, but it's just not going to produce any more fruit for us. We do have two more raspberry patches that are still fruiting because they're in different places and haven't got caught by that very bitter wind. If you're enjoying this video, please give it a thumbs up or leave a comment, and if you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to the channel. So now I can get back to harvesting the squashes. So this is another one that is supposed to be a pink banana squash. It's not. Well, it sort of is, but I think it is a cross. And what it actually is, it's one of Phil's relations. Phil being the squash that sat behind me on the counter all of last year while I was doing the live chats. It's a fair old weight to this. We've got quite a few really big squashes this year, and oh, nice. And then although they're lovely to look at, they're not brilliant for the kitchen because really the two of us are only going to use like a quarter of one at a time, if that. And then I have to freeze it or turn it into a soup and freeze it, so or share it with a neighbour. So if I get smart, what I will do is I will use a piece for us on a Sunday or a Monday, and then take the rest of it to the slimming group that I go to and share it with the girls there. This is the bed that's got the yak on in it, and after my Homestead tour last week, several people really kindly said to me not to harvest it yet, but to wait until the leaves are blackened, and that was the point that the tubers would really start developing for harvesting. And somebody said that they leave theirs in over winter and just harvest a few bits at a time, so I'm really pleased they told me that, otherwise I'd have taken this up and been very disappointed. Now these two courgettes here, this one has given me one courgette all year. I think you can see masses of powdery mildew on it, so that is not going in my compost bin. I'm going to have to find, I think, somewhere on the homestead that I can have a small bonfire. I'll have to get an incinerator, but I actually don't have anywhere that isn't right next to the polytunnel or right next to a load of wood chippings. I'm really going to have to think about it carefully. And this one, sad old thing, it has actually got some babies on it, but I don't think they're going to come now. I'm going to get this out of the ground and call it a day on courgettes from this one. Now this is actually a plant that I got from Hugh, and his very neat writing says it was courgette Genovese. I haven't had that one before. It was really nice. It was quite pale in colour, pale green, with slightly some lighter and some darker streaks along it. It also was really nice flavour. So I will be growing that one again. And what I've got here is spaghetti squashes, and the vine for it has totally died back, just leaving the squashes behind. So I've got 4 to go and add to the barrow.